What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and today on my channel I want to do things a little bit differently. Now, in the past I've gone through and given a lot of real estate investing advice on my channel, but I get a lot of questions from people like, all right, well, how did you get started? What was the process you took? How did you know when it was time to move up into bigger units? And so I want to address this in a combination of a bunch of different videos over the next couple weeks. So in each of these videos, I'm gonna go through each individual deal. Not only how I found the deal, but then what got me comfortable enough to pull the trigger on it, so that you can see kind of my progression from my first deal all the way up to now having over 60 doors of buy and hold real estate. And the first deal I wanna start with is kind of unique, because with this deal, it wasn't actually a buy and hold investment. At the time, I had gone and I had done door-to-door sales, and my first summer I had made $96,000. My second summer I'd made $140,000. And so I was in this place where I had this money, but I really didn't know where to put it. So I got to a point where I started looking into stocks, to bonds, to mutual funds, all of these different opportunities to where I could put this money to hopefully make more money off of it, because I just didn't know what to do with it. If you're interested in that job and how I was able to make so much money at such a young age so that I could be in this situation, you can go to www.elitesummersales.com, and I'll put the link in the description, because I still work as a regional sales manager because I love sales, and I love the opportunity that that sales job gave me and gives hundreds of the sales reps that now work for me. But with that being said, I was in this place where I had a lot of money as a 22-year-old kid that I didn't know what to do with. And I decided after doing my research that real estate investing would most likely be the best place to put it. So I called up a realtor and I started looking at properties. Now, I looked at all of these different properties for a buy and hold investment, and the more properties that I looked at, the closer I got to feeling comfortable with pulling the trigger. But I just didn't get there. I mean, even after 2 years of selling and looking at different investment opportunities, none of them felt right. I didn't feel like I could mitigate my risk enough. I didn't feel educated enough. I was in a situation where I didn't have a team, I didn't have a management company, and it was scary to make the jump. And I had ran this realtor to dozens of different properties without feeling comfortable enough to pull the trigger. So after bouncing her all over, she said, you know what, Chandler, I've got another option for you that I think might mitigate some of your risk, and it's really easy to analyze, and it could be a good option for you. So I said, all right, what are you thinking? She said, well, at this point, I've got a couple people who are looking to buy a home. The problem is they've either gone through a divorce recently or had other credit issues to where they can't get approved for a bank loan. And so I said, all right, well, what could that mean for me? And she said, well, you've got this money you're sitting on. What if you acted like the bank in giving them the loan? And because it's a little bit higher risk, because they don't have a good history, what we could do is we could pay you a much higher interest rate, and we could make them put a larger down payment so that you're in a situation where you're protected, you're making a great return, and you can help these people get into a home. So I thought, hey, that sounds like a good option. So she connected me with this couple, and they were looking at a property that cost $125,000. Now, they were connected with the person selling it, so they were gonna get it for $110,000. So right away, there was some instant equity in the deal. What was really cool though is they had quite a bit of money on hand, even though they had crappy credit. So I was only going to give them a loan for $97,000. On top of that, I was also going to be in the situation, I don't know how autopilot handles construction. I was also going to be in a situation, I was not only going to get a high interest rate, they were going to pay me 9.5%, they were going to put a big down payment so that I had instant equity if they did go bottoms up on paying me, but I also was going to get 3 points. So I would make $3,000 when they purchased it, I'd have the down payment, and I'd be making 9.5% interest on the loan that I gave them. And to make things even better on this deal, they had to refinance within 2 years once they got their credit fixed, so they could go to the bank and I could get my money back, because I didn't want to be locked into having this money with them for 30 years, even though it was a decent return, because I didn't really know what I would end up doing next. Now, if they didn't refinance in 2 years, I was in a place where I could either higher the interest rate or go and collect on the home, which would be pretty messed up. It wasn't really my plan. The higher interest rate would be a good option. And the reason I went through with this deal is I felt like I was pretty protected. I had a lot of equity in the home. So even if the worst of the worst scenarios happened, I didn't see myself losing any money because of the equity in the property, the fact they were making monthly payments, and the fact that worst case scenario, I could go and take ownership of the property over again. Now, the deal ended up going through. They refinanced within a year and a half. I made my 9.5% interest. I made the $3,000. I got all of my principal back that I had loaned to them, and it really ended up being an awesome investment. Now, looking back, I've decided that these aren't necessarily investments I like to do a lot of, or any at all anymore. However, this deal put me in a place where I got to see that monthly check coming in. I really fell in love with investing in real estate, and it was a game changer because it got my foot wet enough to where I was like, you know what? I want to do this more. Now, if it would have gotten bottoms up, maybe I would have had a different opinion, because there would have been work, there would have been expenses, but I feel like I still protected myself enough where even if everything went wrong, I would have at least got all of my initial investment back. Now, some might argue, no, this, and this could have happened that would have put you in a bad situation, but luckily for me, it didn't go bottoms up. They refinanced about a year and a half later. I got the $3,000, the 9.5% interest rate on all of that time, and all of my initial investment back, and it gave me the courage to then reinvest all of that money into the buy and hold real estate I have now. But I'm so grateful that I did this deal when I did, because it got me comfortable enough to jump into a deal. Now, obviously, I've gotten better deals with better returns, but had I not taken that leap, had I not been able to see that consistent return, I would have been in a much different place, because who knows, maybe still today, I wouldn't have pulled the trigger on that first deal. I kind of doubt that, but I think it's so important for you to have the courage to pull the trigger on the first deal. Obviously, you've got to get your risk in a place where you're comfortable with it, but by pulling the trigger, it'll get you in the place where then you're learning, you're growing. And with this situation, because I analyzed my risk, even if the worst case scenario would have happened, I still would have been in a place where I most likely would have gotten all of my money that I put in back, and I would have learned a ton. But I see so many people that say they're gonna invest, they're gonna invest, they're gonna invest, and they never do, just because it's intimidating, it's scary. And so what I would tell you is, once you know your risk is at bay to where you're comfortable, pull the trigger, because that first deal is what propelled me into being comfortable enough to get into all these other deals that have now grown into this really cool real estate empire that's put me in an awesome place. It could have gone worse than it did. I ended up making a great return on it. I got that money back, and I immediately rolled it into some of the other deals that I'm going to talk about in my future videos. But now you know this is the first investment I've ever made, and it's something that if you do want to do it for yourself, just make sure that there's enough equity in the home already, that they have a big enough down payment that it makes sense for the risk, because you can get a much bigger return on an investment property than a 9.5% when you look at all of the other pros with your principal pay down, with your appreciation on the property, and all of these other things. And so just understand your risk, but take a jump. I'm so grateful that I took that jump on that first deal, because it's the deal that gave me the confidence to go and jump into all the other rentals that I picked up over the years. So if you guys enjoyed the video, push the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to helping you create a passive income for yourself in my future videos. I also have no idea where we are because I haven't been watching the road at all.